Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we'll discuss week 35 of 2023. Let's get going. So week 35 was pretty uneventful overall, to be honest with you. It was really hot and loud. Come on, bruh. We didn't get any rain, so that's really the story so far over the last few weeks. Is there's been no rain. It is getting warm, you know. It's not getting like super hot. We had a few days that topped out close to 100, but you know, this time of year that's not unusual. But the heat index didn't get to like 120 like it has been or anything. So really what we've been doing is just trying to keep everything alive. Another thing that happens during this time of year when you start getting into September is there's a lot of small little tasks to do. So let's just go over a few of the things that we've had to start adding into our normal routine. Lucy, get that stick. Well, as you can see, a lot of the pollinators, look at these primrose. You know, they're still blooming, but they're not quite as dense as they once were. Like if you look in here, a lot of the foliage on the bottom side of it started to die back, that sort of stuff. And with that comes a lot of cleaning. So we like to kind of clean these up as we go, as opposed to leaving it all for, you know, the end of the year. We do like to leave a few in there just to house some of the pollinators going into the next year. But even here in the honeysuckle, right, like 2 weeks ago, this part of the bed just wasn't visible. The reason for that is the sun is starting to transition over to the south, and on our property, a lot of our tree line is covered with trees, as they say, and that's gonna like a lot less sun for these, especially on this end of the property. So, you know, as the weeks go along, there'll be more and more things dying back, and I bring all of that up to show you the state of our compost pile. So again, we've mentioned many times that we're clearing the beds out and we're putting the leaves and such on them. And with that comes a lot of, you know, the things that aren't coming out because of disease, that sort of stuff. We like to compost them. So this time of year is where I break out the bagger and I just push mow, get a lot of the grass clippings, and that's going to help me break down a lot of the browns that we have here. As you can see, it is a lot of work. I'm also going through and taking a bunch of the leaves. We've shown this many times, but we use the leaves to cover the beds when we're in our transition period between seasons, and right now just happens to be one of those. So just to follow up on the transition concept, you can see our green beans, they are also starting to thin out quite a bit as the days get a little bit shorter. We have put up a lot of green beans. So this whole system of rotating this bed between potatoes, green beans, potatoes, so far it has worked out really well. We've gotten a lot of green beans. We hope to get one more picking so that we can put up, you know, another 4 to 6 jars of green beans for the winter. But as of right now, I am pleased with the way this rotation has worked out. And on the end down here, we have gotten quite a few of these purple hull peas, which we love. A lot of people don't care for them. We absolutely adore them. But next year, I don't think we're going to end up having the peas at the end of the bed. What I'll do is I will grow potatoes all the way down. I'll grow green beans all the way down, and then we'll do potatoes again all the way down. I thought it would be a good idea to kind of partition it, but in reality what happens is I just ended up wanting more room for potatoes. Something else we're kind of excited about is our new round of cucumbers are finally starting to get blooms on them. Not sure if we're going to get any, but if we do, this will be a huge win and something that we'll make sure we pursue each year going forward. So let's just do a quick pass over here of the top garden and the pallet garden. We're getting a lot of purple hull peas out of these two beds. So next year the idea is we've already kind of started planning a little bit. We have a much better idea of how to progress our green beans and our purple hulls so we can maximize them. And that and the room that we have in the two gardens. Again, this was the first year that everything was completed and we were able to start planning from the very beginning of the year. Also with gardening, that's part of the fun, right? Is to kind of redo things year to year. Leslie's pollinators down there are still doing really well. I'm very pleased with them. We're hoping to leave a lot of the blooms on there just to see how much it'll sort of repopulate itself, and then in the spring we'll redo them. We will also grow those jumbo cayenne peppers from now on. They're awesome. They're a lot easier to pick than the small ones were. We're getting a lot out of them, so I'm happy with the way that went. We are down to only 2 cherry tomatoes up here on the trellis, which is unfortunate, but luckily for us, it's the Sweet Million and the orange, and they are producing quite a few tomatoes, but I am incredibly pleased with the production this year. So, and in the palette garden, there's really not a whole lot to show. The Nadapinos, they're still growing strong, and we just picked another round of purple hulls out of this bed, so I don't think we're going to use these beds for purple hulls next year. We'll go over all those plans, but they did really well in these pallet beds, but they also did well in the top garden, so we'll probably use the top garden. And then the only other thing really of interest out here are our beef steak tomatoes. There's about 4 on there that are starting to turn. As soon as I get those tomatoes, these guys will be coming out. And then heading into week 36, what I'm hoping to do is get a lot of compost delivered, and then we can start filling these beds up for the fall. And one more time, let's just take a look in here. These guys will be going in to their permanent homes sometime next week. So as long as we continue watering them, it's worked out really well so far. I can't wait to have beets and lettuce and such in the ground. I was really hoping to hold off one more week just so we can avoid the possibility of having like a stretch of 90-degree, 99, 100-degree weather. It's rare to have that towards the end of September, but somewhat common to have it at the beginning of September here in 7B. So the last thing I wanted to mention on today's video is we have started a whole nother round of greens in the house. By greens, I mean beets, turnips, mustard greens, and lettuce plants. I'm kind of excited because we're coming up rapidly on the time where I can start putting radishes in the ground as well. And truthfully, that's one of my favorite times of the year, where I start getting all of my greens for my lettuces, radishes. We're hoping the cucumbers work out. We'll still have the cherry tomatoes, so we should be able to eat like that all the way up till the end of November-ish or so. So if that's the case, that's going to be incredible. The other thing that's coming up really soon is planting our fall carrots. We're really excited about that as well. The carrot bed did really well for carrots in the spring. It did not do well for the beans. So next year we're gonna have to try to find something else to put in that bed, in the interim over the summer where you can't really grow carrots. Well, as always, I appreciate all you folks for hanging out with me today. Till next time, I hope you all take care of yourselves. Peace.